Hey, welcome back to the Comic Cosmos. Today we're reviewing Stargirl Season 1, Episode 10, and wow, just really an amazing episode. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, I really recommend you go watch the episode, because of course there'll be spoilers on the episode. Anyway, sit back, grab a drink, and get ready to dive deep into Stargirl Episode 10. So last episode did really well in setting up this episode, as it established Henry Jr. as a character, as well as giving a backstory on Brainwave and how he dealt with his powers. We also saw Courtney find out about Jordan McKent being Icicle, and at the end Barbara actually found Pat and Courtney in the basement with the cosmic staff, and wow, it was just a really good episode, and episode 10 made this show even better than it has been by just being so unpredictable and continuously throwing us shocking moments. So this episode starts off with, you guessed it, another flashback, this time of 2 years into the past in Blue Valley at the diner, which we've seen a few times in the season. And we see Pat and Barbara, and this is actually the moment where Pat and Barbara first met in Blue Valley. We found out that Pat was there, obviously investigating the Injustice Society, and we also find out that Barbara was there trying to sort out the sale of her late parents' house. And they share a banana split, and that's really how they got to know each other, I guess, and how they started their relationship, which has led to what it is now. Now, this is a really good flashback sequence as we go back to the present where we left off, where Barbara actually finds them with the cosmic staff, and Courtney tries to explain and make excuses, but Pat wants to tell her the truth. And then Courtney really doesn't help when she keeps saying Starman was her dad and everything, which I mean, right now, anything could happen, especially after some things suggest there may be something weird going on there, which I'll come back to later, of course. Barbara then completely snaps on Courtney and basically wants Pat to leave for however long she thinks is necessary. We then return where Henry left off, at the hospital next to his dad. And his dad has just woken up, and he says he can't remember the last 10 years, and you can kind of see that by the way he talks and even looks. He says the last thing he can remember is his son's 6th birthday, and the big thing is that he can't even remember that his wife died. This kind of shows us that what switched him from being who he wanted to be a good person in a way, to completely to the villain side.
But she didn't. Damn you, Jordan.
Henry then finds out, with the help of the tapes, that Henry's mom was apparently drowned, and the recordings leads Henry, and us actually, to think that Jordan McKent, aka Icicle, was responsible for the death of Mary. And while Henry's actually at the house, we see Jordan visiting Henry Sr. at the hospital, and he's preparing him to take back to the ISA HQ, and the cosmic staff actually interrupts them, as Courtney says she didn't want to disobey and lie to her mom again, and they pretty much combine their powers to effortlessly disable it, which was a pretty cool see when they disabled the cosmic staff. And they set off to go to the ISA HQ, and Henry Jr. actually sees them just before they go, and because he thinks Jordan killed his mom, he thinks he is kidnapping his dad in a way, so he's very worried and really wants to save his dad. Back at Courtney's house, Barbara actually says that Courtney and her will be leaving Boo Valley the next day, and obviously Courtney isn't happy about this, and Barbara goes to get her things from work, and she actually emails Sam Curtis, Courtney's father. So she also does actually research a little bit on Starman, and this is prolonging the reveal of whether Starman was actually Courtney's father or not. And also, it seems that she doesn't know exactly what she actually thinks, as she's still researching and trying to look into it. So I guess we'll have to wait for that reveal later on. Pat then actually arrives at Barbara's work at the American Dream to make sure Barbara is safe. And Jordan and his parents actually come in, and there's a little bit of tension there. And Jordan's parents are actually talking suspiciously in Norwegian, and Barbara actually records this conversation as she wants to get answers. She doesn't know what to believe.
It won't matter soon. Once the machine is turned on, everything will change.
And she then translates it, which reveals to Pat and Barbara about the Injustice Society's plan and their machine, specifically, what they are making, and it turns on Pat's side more. We also actually see Sam Curtis reply on the email, but we don't see what it says, but I guess we'll wait and hopefully see it next episode to see more about that. Henry then goes to Courtney, where he tells her that Icicle killed his mom and took his dad and the cosmic staff, and actually that his mom was actually Starman's sister, which obviously leads Courtney to think that they are cousins, since she thinks Starman is her dad. And at school, the JSA meet in the cafeteria and have a little bit of fight, and there's a little bit of drama there, especially because Yolanda doesn't trust Henry at all. And they pretty much don't want to work with him, but I guess they give in and they go down to the ISA HQ through the door in Cindy's house, which Beth actually found a few episodes back, I think. So they decide to split up, and Beth and Rick go together, and Courtney, Yolanda, and Henry go together. And Rick and Beth kind of just find Solomon Grundy, and Rick obviously wants to get revenge on his parents, but he isn't really strong enough to get the door open. But it seems like he did a little bit of damage to it, so maybe to something happening later on. I don't know. So Courtney, Yolanda, and Henry actually find Dragon King's lab, and they find Brainwave there, who Dragon King is doing something to try and get his memories back. And Cindy actually exposes them as she's still locked up there from the last episode, and we see them fight Dragon King's servants, or fights as you could call them, and they basically destroy them. That JSA win, and Courtney gets her staff back, and we then see Stargirl have a quick fight with Dragon King. And we get to see a pretty cool fight scene between them. And of course, at the end, we actually get to see the man under the mask. And we see Dragon King's face with all its horrifying scales and those eyes. Ugh. Now, the next part of the plan is to obviously get Brainwave, Henry King Sr.'s back. But they basically failed that mission, as they try to get him too late. And he went back to his complete villain self, which is really sad for Henry, as he was really connecting with his father before. They try to escape the tunnels, and Henry Jr. actually saves Courtney using his powers, and we then see kind of a Brainwave versus Brainwave fight, where Henry Jr. tries to get through to his father and reminds him that Jordan killed his wife and that he isn't on the right side. We then get the shocker moment where he actually reveals that Icicle didn't kill his wife, but it was actually Brainwave himself who actually did it.
Jordan didn't kill your mother. I did.
And when I heard this, I knew there was no way Henry Sr. was going to switch sides from this. I mean, that's pretty hectic. He literally killed his wife. Henry Jr. then tries to fight his dad, and he apologizes to Yolanda and tells Courtney to never stop seeing the good in people. And his dad actually sends rocks flying his way, and before you know it, he's dead, or presumed dead at least. I don't know if he may find some way to bring him back, but yeah, wow. I mean, such an impactful moment and really unexpected. I think the show really has done well to balance what they take from the comics and what they decide to change for the show. And Henry Jr.'s character really did a complete 180 looking back. You would never think he would be not only on the good side, but die, saving Courtney and the rest of the JSA. I actually think it will be very interesting to see whether he actually may stay dead or may still even be alive, or maybe Dragon King may somehow bring him back and he will actually turn bad. I just feel like that this may not be the end, and I really want to see more of Henry Jr. And I mean, even if it is, I'd actually be okay with that because it was a really good redemption arc for the character and probably the most emotional scene of the show actually so far yet. I mean, really great episode, and wow, we're actually nearing the end of the show. Well, this season so far, only 3 episodes left, and the next episode I'm really excited for specifically, which will be named The Shining Knight. So yeah, can't wait for that. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you really did find this interesting and enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a like, and I'd love to hear any thoughts you have on the episode, or any theories or Easter eggs you think we missed. You can also contact us on Instagram at the Comic Cosmos for news and all things pop culture. As always, stay safe, and until next time, cheers.